That's it.
I have a question for you,
Okay.
and I kind of wanted to go over this
Oh,
specific moment in the interview with ABC because I've been having this I've been having this debate with a couple people.
okay.
So, do you remember the MS-13 tattoos?
Yes.
This image.
That was photoshopped.
All right, but obviously,
Yes.
but let's talk about what's photoshopped here.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's obviously the letters
You mean the
MS1 and
Times New
3.
Roman font thing that was put in through MS Paint? Yeah.
The MS-13 paint, thank you. The
That's good.
underneath is also lettering that
That
was
doesn't seem to
added.
conform. That's all like in the same line. It doesn't
Yes,
conform to the bend of
doesn't
his
conform to the
fingers.
knuckle at all. Clearly, these are not on the tattoo. But here's how I took this image: was, oh, this is an indicator picture where someone has said, "This is the tattoo, and here are the letters it is," the same way that you would do for, say, uh, I don't know, hiragana or like Japanese lettering for someone who's like, well, what does this mean? It's this sound, this thing, this note. You'd put it above it in a photo of like hieroglyphs or whatever the fuck from Egypt. Like, this is what I understood this image to be.
What I understand this image to be is actually, if you look very closely and you judge its positioning in relative to the background, this is actually Trump indulging his exhibitionist fetish, and we were actually looking directly at his left boob, which
I
has been cleverly disguised as poor Kilmar's belly button.
jokes aside,
Yeah.
I understood this as an explanatory, informational thing where they overlaid the meaning on top of the tattoo, right? And when everyone laughed and said it's clearly photoshopped, it felt to me like that was a silly critique because of course it is. No one would ever presume that the MS1 and 3 and that the words underneath were actually part of the tattoo
Well,
because that's so
here's the
insane to
thing.
me.
If that was the case, like there's a discrepancy. See the text underneath the symbols, right?
Yes.
Now,
Marijuana,
now
smile,
that
cross, skull.
the text underneath the symbols
Mm-hmm.
is lined up like this was put over in some like this was typed out in a Word document and then overlaid onto the image, and it's obvious because the positioning of the text doesn't actually conform to the angle of his fingers.
Right,
The,
but I figured it'd be like,
I
all right,
wasn't
go ahead.
finished
All right,
speaking.
all right, all right.
The ones on top cannot be explaining what the contents or the meanings of the symbols are. A, because it'd be redundant to what's underneath, but B, because they also do conform to the positioning of the knuckles. They're clearly intended to do that. And you can't, it's not as obvious because obviously they're single characters, so you can't like see how like obviously
Right.
how jarring it is having that straight line.
And so
Yeah.
here is the genealogy of this photo
Right.
is my question.
Okay.
Because the person who made it, when they made this, there's either intention. They went, hey, I'll lay it out. I need to lay it as simple as possible because this is going to Trump, who's absolutely illiterate and stupid. And so I'm going to say marijuana begins with the letter M, and I'm going to put M above it, and smile with S above it, cross with 1 because that's what it means, and then skull with 3 because it has 3 holes in its face. I still
What?
don't understand.
What? Sorry, hang on. What are you explaining right now?
I'm trying to, the person who made this image, and here's why I ask, because do you think this was made to convince people that he literally had
So if they're dyeing the eggs yellow, how do you think they're turning the frogs gay?
My question is,
It's turning the frogs gray, actually, when you add yellow to
the
it.
person who
Sorry.
made this, did they
Yeah.
intend up front that the MS-13 would be seen as part of the tattoo and they were trying to do it's a bad Photoshop job, or that they'd made it explanatorily and Trump is so fucking stupid that he saw it and went, oh my God, he has it there and no one corrected
I
it.
don't see how that would be. I don't know how on earth you would say that was made explanatorily. I don't know how you would do that. I think it was obviously obviously made very lazily by someone with very little technical skill. And I don't even know where he got this from. Like, was this just a thing he pulled off of like Twitter? I don't like literally don't know where he got this image from. Like, do we know who made
The
this?
Justice Department, he said.
Okay, well, where did they get that from? Because we know who's in charge of the Justice Department right now and where he spends all his time. Like,
She, it's Pam Bondi. It's a woman.
sorry, fuck.
It's okay.
Who the fuck am I thinking of then? No, I'm not thinking I'm thinking the defense part. Fuck. Okay, whatever. Anyways, listen.
I care less about technically getting their pronouns right these days. So I'm good with that. Because here's the thing. The anger he has in this clip we're about to watch, I find fascinating because it's more than, it's not like he's being caught in a lie. He's literally at one point asks him like he's incredulous that this is the case. And then he ends up just saying, why don't you just lie? And it's a really weird clip, and I find it fascinating. You okay there?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm my understanding of who's doing what is now like
Pam Bondi is the
the blonde lady.
Yeah.
Who's who the hell am I thinking of then?
Probably thinking the director of the FBI or one of those other shitheads.
Yes, yeah, it's Kash Patel. Sorry, fuck, that's what I was thinking of. God damn it. I don't see how
I can see this being a terrible explanatory thing made by some shithead who doesn't know better or didn't even put thought into it, and that now it's taken on a life of its own because there is an astonishing number of people who believe that the actual letters we're looking at are the tattoo. And I didn't realize that. I think I'm just disconnected from the average person. Because I can't imagine a person who's stupid enough to see this.
No, but here's the thing. Look, here's the thing. If it was explanatory, it would be more lazily done. It would be more like formulaic. You'd have
it's very lazily done.
But it's lazily done with intention. There was a deliberate positioning of the letters to conform to the positioning of the knuckles. You wouldn't do that. You would have them lined up with lines or something like that.
Unless you sucked at your job.
But why would you deliberately make them conform to the positioning on the knuckles?
Because you're making it so it's like high up, and then you didn't want to put the S above, because if they're all in the same line, it's not super clear to Trump who is that stupid. I mean, I actually think he is stupid enough that if you put them straight across, he wouldn't know what you're referring to.
But it's not just that. The S, look at the positioning of the S versus the M, okay? The middle finger knuckle protrudes more based on that angle. So if you put it on the knuckle, which is where it is on the M, it looks like, oh, that's a weird spot for it to be on a tattoo.
It's weird. I'm agreeing with you, but it's...
Yes.
So here's...
I just don't think it was explanatory. I think this was...
Have you seen the clip of him in this interview talking about this?
I think underneath it could be explanatory. It's possible.
Did you see this clip yet?
Yeah, it's nuts. Play it.
He wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute.
Say what?
You boost that volume a little bit?
Yes, I can. One moment.
I love how many times we're going to get him threatening interviewers in his first few months. It's yeah.
He wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattoo.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked you, Terry. But you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture. We'll agree to disagree.
There's a meta commentary I think we're going to get to, but this is what I'm fascinated by. He believes that it is the tattoos, or is he lying? And I ultimately it doesn't matter, but I find the mental space he's in fascinating because we've been talking about the collapse internally of the Trump administration, how they can't talk about anything or do anything. And I think this is a window to the literal behavior people have when they show something to him. They show him this thing. Let's say it's explanatory or not. It almost doesn't matter. And he goes, wow, he literally had MS-13 on his knuckles. And no one goes,
you know what?
No.
Let's try this one on for size. What if he's going blind? What if he is literally...
I don't think he is, because he's able to read signs at rallies, and he's still doing that pretty well at a distance. And I have to wear glasses, and I couldn't do it as well as he's doing it.
Example.
2 days ago, or his inaugural, like he gave a big 100-day speech, and he went, "Oh, there's my guy, blacks for Trump." No, he was pointing at a sign that was far away. It wasn't very close, but it's not piece of paper.
I'm just saying, as I watch him, I don't know if that's just his face, but he's indoors and he is squinting.
He's had that droopy eye now for a little while. Like it again. This is why I really. He
could also have trouble because, as some people do, because it's not always like distance that deteriorates. It's not always a distance that deteriorates first. He could have trouble seeing stuff up close. I just don't know. But like, okay, when you look at that image, like you'd have to be an absolute moron, even more so than I think Trump.
You would have to be a moron,
but you have to be. That sticks out as obviously superimposed. Like
it's
obviously,
clearly, and
it's
again, this is why
it's not even the same color. Like obviously,
I assumed that everyone going, it's clearly photoshopped. I wanted to go, yeah, like of course it is. Of course like I was so confused by it, but now I understand. He believes it, I think, and I think there's a lot of people who also believe that he literally had MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles. And again, here's the interaction. It's the rest of this that I find really telling.
Well, here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir. I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people.
Is he serious? Like, I don't think he is that level of tactician or propagandist where he is just gonna flatly believe or say something that he doesn't agree with.
You don't?
No, I think he's genuinely.
I mean, he's done it. He's done it in the past. I don't know.
Such
about
as,
that, dude. Oh, for fuck's sake.
No, like getting things wrong, saying things in a moment. But he's emphatic here. It's fascinating to me. It's a different type of emphatic.
People no longer believe the news because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in.
Oh, sorry.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but
they're in your picture.
Terry,
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
Look, let me give you an example. Okay, somebody popped this up. I read this earlier today. He was talking about how what was it, stocks or whatever were going up because of people predicting that he was going to come into the White House. That's his economy already. He's taking credit for the economy under Biden for himself. He recently posted like, no, the economy currently that's from Biden. That's Biden's fault and so on and so forth. Like a blatant like a reversal contradicting what he said in the past. Like he this is not a person who's not willing to just.
But that's not the same thing as like. Again,
it is though. It's just it's more glaring because you have concerning a discrete like object you can visibly look at as a
no. This is that's the same mentality conservatives and a lot of people, but conservatives especially when they say things like black people are more prone to crime. Well, what about John, who you have over dinner? Oh, he's fine. He's one of the good ones. This is
no. In this case, we're talking.
This is
about
the ability for you to sort of
hang on.
All right.
You're talking about attributing something to one person and attributing the exact same thing to yourself and flipping it 100%. That is the same kind of
except
reversal.
It's not the same thing.
No, it's the same kind of subject matter. It's the same kind of subject matter. It's completely different. It's the same kind of subject matter that flies over people's heads because it's more abstract.
One is when the economy is doing well, the other is when it's doing badly. They're not the same thing.
But it's referring to exactly the same thing and attributing it to...
But it's not.
Wish you Democrat propagandists would have Emoy on to debunk your lies.
What?
I have no idea. Emoy, I appreciate... I don't understand what... Oh, we have a conservative yelling in the chat. That's why.
Thank you. Sure shot.
Thank you for the $5. No. To me, it's not the same thing because the nature of what he's referring to and how he's talking, the context of it, how he's speaking, he's denoting the same thing from the outside when you place them next to each other. But that's not how language works. That's not how speaking about things work. It's not really the same thing because we're talking about 5 or 6 months separate. And it's also, generally speaking, this fuzziness around what the economy is. If he's going to say, for example, eggs are up because of Biden, eggs prices are down because of me. You feel free to tell me where that's like a...
Well, those are not contradictory statements. Egg prices can be up because of Biden, and then he can take.
Do you think
take
that do you think
Excuse
the
me?
stock market going up was not because Trump was going into office? I do. I think a whole bunch of
it doesn't matter. The point is that he is taking this one singular thing, referring to it with two separate statements at the same time, and giving contrary explanations for it from both. So in this case, he's dealing with an artifact that has particular features, and he's denying particular features about them. So the question is this because he's perfectly willing to simply take statements of fact and go directly contrary to them based on opportunity? I think we have reason to think that he would.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think the example you're giving is the same thing. He's talking about
you asked me to drum one up off the top of my head, and I don't have any
but you're comparing like these again months apart and not even talking about like causation of a thing. These aren't the same. Hey,
well, we don't know when the last time was he even saw this photo.
These pictures show something that is real versus something that is not real. That conversation, I think, is a little bit different than saying, I blame this on Biden, or this is because it's me, or whatever. It's not, it's a different layer of broken from reality.
How long has Kilmar been in CCOT?
Weeks.
Weeks? Okay. How long since he's been arrested? Since they were
I want to say just like another week beyond that. It wasn't terribly long before that.
So close to a month, right?
Sure.
Okay, so maybe he saw the photo at one point. It's like, yeah, that's the thing. And then in his brain, he just remembered that, and he's probably talked about it since with morons, and they've just reiterated this, and he's going off of memory. I don't see a particular reason to think that this is because he's stupid enough to see that as like an actual tattoo. I just don't think so. I think that's stretching.
I really do. To me, it's what he's about to say. It's the last 10 seconds of this.
Yeah.
The phrasing, and it sounds contradictory when it's all together, but there is a general behavior pattern for how people find meaning in things or how they talk about it. And ultimately, he asked the reporter here, and I can't imagine if he's doing the reporter, he's doing it with other people. He just wants people to be agreeable with him. That's it. Can't you just say and accept it? And he doesn't care ultimately, but he's charging ahead with that. And again, this is
I'm gonna put this back in your court then. Like, given that's the case, it's not required that he's stupid enough to actually think that that's the tattoo. It could just be hey, I'm holding four fingers right now, right? And that's all he's doing. It's an assertion of dominance. I think that's more likely. I don't think it's likely he looked at that and thought, oh yeah, that's a tattoo. Look, it literally says MS-13. I think it's more likely he never saw it at all, and he received this through osmosis, and/or he looked at it a while ago and forgot. And just doesn't matter.
I can agree to a point. There's a general behavior pattern though that we're talking about with this guy that over 40 years, 50 years of his life, he's been doing that type of thing. Basically, the not to go Star Trek on it, but the how many lights do you see moment from Picard. And he's doing that with people. And he's ultimately filtered out anyone who said that there were four lights over and over and over. And all he has are people who will happily answer whatever he's got. But here's my question. That would then, the machine around you that would create, you don't then have anyone where you have to prove it. You aren't really actively testing people at large because everyone around you just echoes what you say back. We're seeing this constantly in the leaked transcripts, the leaked parts of his overall cabinet, that people will say whatever they need to in front of him and then say other shit elsewhere because they just know he wants them to be agreeable. And then he just fucks off and he doesn't really care because he doesn't have, maybe a better way to say it was, he doesn't actually care if MS-13 is in there. He has said it, and other people have ramified that by responding and not pushing back on it. And now a reporter is, and he's incredulous because he doesn't understand anymore the difference.
I just think that's adding an additional factor. I think the interest of parsimony, it's enough to say that he doesn't care about the truth. He's willing to lie to assert dominance, or just assert something he hasn't.
Why was he in the country to begin with, though? WTF?
Because he came here. Mostly he came here out of fear for gangs and government agents. This is the fun part is a lot of these Republicans are like, why would Venezuelans ever flee? And then literally, if you remember the last decade or even longer, have vilified the government of Venezuela for being a brutal repression-filled regime that murders people who are politically opposed to it, but also somehow that those people aren't political refugees. So like, yeah, fucking, you don't care. So don't even act like you give a shit.
Hey, what happens when, for example, just as hypothetically, you have homophobic gangs that brutalize people and a government that has managed to sell the idea that it's controlling gang violence by not counting their murders in mass graves?
Why was he fleeing if he wasn't a gang member?
That's the stupidest question. That is a stupid.
Calm down,
dude.
Let me ask your question with a question. If gang members only hurt gang members, why would we care about them? Right? Like it's not like, oh,
if look, he wasn't a criminal, why is he then I'll ask you. You're not a criminal or a gang member. Why are you scared of gang members?
You don't know that.
No, this
careful,
well, he might
careful.
be.
Be careful. Don't anger me too much.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about chatter here. Why are people scared of criminals? Why are people scared of gang members? Why do we have to get rid of them so much if they're not that scary? Why are you scared of them? Why is it that we have to deport them if they're not that scary? Jesus Christ. Do you hear yourself? Fucking these people, man. They're just like, they can't connect two thoughts. It's they rub those neurons together and they go, well, if he wasn't a gang member, why was he so scared? Also, gang members are terrifying and we should get rid of them.
He's actually convincing me a little bit. If one of those super chats was yellow or red, I actually could be swayed a little bit.
No, they won't do that. They just like the little sniping pot shots for the $2.
No. I think they're putting.
No, because if they donated a lot, it would be stuck there, and people would be able to laugh and read the thing for like a while. Like the $100 one was there for forever, and everyone kind of had jokes about it over time. $2 means that it gets a bump. We talk about it, moves on. They're not going to have anything.
Can I show you a cool thing we have here? You can pin them. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Actually, can you pin them? I don't think you can pin super chats. Damn. I guess I got to donate a little bit more to really make it stick. Okay.
Why would he be scared of gang members if he's not in the gang? Also, gang members are terrifying. Sunday wants call-ins.
Do you think you two will ever allow call-ins?
Sunday wants call-ins. That's my problem because I
trust
fucking
anyone
run it.
Name calling.
I don't like anyone calling in. I don't like people.
You don't like anyone, period.
This is accurate. I don't believe in debates. I don't believe in the marketplace of ideas. I think we're seeing the outcome of that.
We're also just, unless you're a content creator, there's no business in it. They're not fun. It's just like, oh, here's a rando who doesn't know anything and or knows too much and is an asshole, and we're just going to suffer. It's not fun. They don't get much out of it, with some exceptions. Some of them are fun, but not really what we're going for here.
No, well, in theory.
No,
last 10 seconds here.
Well, we'll take a look.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't you just say, yes, he does, and, go.
You have little faith.
Can the entire country of El Salvador claim asylum?
That depends on how much more you're willing to donate.
I mean, everyone in the world can claim asylum. That's why we have a process for it. And yes, people should be allowed to claim asylum. What are these people? Do they think it's a get? Like we have international laws around asylum seeking and political refugee status, and we've agreed to it as a nation by having people who are voted to do it agree to it at large scale in legislation. Like, what the fuck, man?
I, for one, don't like how you're dismissing this hardworking, high-paying, tax-paying American. Okay,
it's $2. Frankly, they're $2 super chats, dude. People spend that much on like 3 or 4. Well, that's 2 eggs to egg a house these days. So I don't. Maybe I should be a little bit more respectful of it.
This man is foregoing breakfast for the next week, just for the truth.
Yeah. Did you hear that last bit from Trump? That's what I like. That line.
Play it again.
It's such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't you just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
That's the line for me. See, the rest of it, I'm not really that interested. That's the line where he is, the way he says it, he's not saying, dude, come on, help me out here. Like, it's not that. It's, why don't you just say that and move on? Because he's exasperated that the guy won't. But it's not the normal power move like, you're wrong and you're going to change your mind, which he used to do.
Come on, used to be cool, man. Why don't you just...
Why don't you just...
We'll take a look at
Why
that,
don't
sir.
you just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
It's contested.
Just a child. But it's, again, when we talk about that power dynamic that you were mentioning and that setup, I think it's very telling. This part was very telling for me, I think.
It's a weird situation where you can tell there's two things going on.
Can Portland handle refugees with all the hobos?
Jesus Christ. We have a large Ukrainian refugee population that has absolutely been wonderful to have here. So yes, enjoy yourself. It's the same $2 TTS people. I think it's one dude.
You think it's one dude?
I think it's
Why'd
one
you ban
person.
the other one?
No,
You're just frantically switching between two accounts to donate $2?
I don't know.
Maybe. That's commitment. I admire the commitment to the bit. I'd admire it more if those super chats were yellow.
There we go.
You make one of them red, and you never know. Maybe you'll turn me. Who knows?
Yeah.
Why would he ban money? That's an excellent question. You should ask Brooks why he would ban money, because he absolutely would.
Oh yeah, I don't care. The area I live in, I'm in the other Vancouver, not the Canada one. It's easier for me to just say Portland, but I'm on the Washington side of the Columbian River. And so when we talk about refugees, we have well over 10,000 Ukrainian refugees that have been resettled here. And we're not a gigantic city. We're not a Portland. We're actually almost a separate city. It's a 45-hour drive, but yeah, we do just fine. And they're fantastic bakeries. They're lovely people. The reality is refugees are actually kind of great to have in cities because they bring a lot of color and literally, but also in food and culture and art.
I was going to say phrasing. They're going to like that. You're going to see.
You don't understand.
You don't understand.
I mean it quite
Brooks
literally. They bring color because these bland fucking white people.
See, Brooks is playing like the conscientious one, but the fact of the matter is, he's actually getting under your skin. He's making you pay more. He's doing that on purpose. I respect it. What I was going to say before I
mean, if you name it, it doesn't work anymore.
Was so rudely
it's like Schrodinger's super chats now. Now that you've identified and measured it, it's killed it.
Schrodinger's chats. That sounds pretty. That'd be a good channel name.
Yeah.
Schrodinger's box. I think Trump has two things going on right now where there's simultaneously.
Normally a channel needs to hit mainstream popularity before this kind of low IQ attention trolling becomes normal. So, congrats, I guess.
It is, for our size, the number of wonderful little super chats is fascinating.
I would love to be able to see some of these donations that are just not appearing on my end of the screen for some reason.
Why aren't they?
I don't know. You're controlling all the
because
buttons.
they're in Stream Elements. These are Stream Elements donations. They don't show up in that chat.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, that's...
Because Stream Elements isn't a super chat.
You should still acknowledge them and announce them.
I did. We watched it, and it said TTS did its thing.
As I was saying, I think Trump's in a situation where it's quote unquote his last term, or is it? And he doesn't need to care about anything. He's unleashed. And then on the other hand, it's like, oh shit, there's still consequences to my actions. And so he's in this, like, he's trying to do this mobster act, but he's also timid.
See,
yeah.
I can understand that position. I'm very much thinking that it is.
You think he's just that stupid?
Oh yes. Oh, certainly. We know that he barely reads and he's never had a curiosity intellectually about anything in his life. And I think what we're seeing is this, that he saw it, he made a comment, and whether or not it's accurate or not is almost irrelevant to him. And everyone went, he does have MS-13 written. And so now he's running with it. And he just got to the point with the reporter. He's like, look, just say yes and let's move on. And the guy wouldn't. And it's just a fucking weird moment, man.
Hi,
A happy thought.
Oh, I don't have a happy thought, but I have a secret to tell you.
No, it's about a happy thought. Hello?